Brad, roster decisions to make, and the cap always factors in for the Toronto Maple Leafs, any cap team for that matter. But you do look at individual standouts through training camp in the preseason, and I think it's fair to say that Nick Robertson has been that. But are we prepared, as the regular season is looming, to say that he's made the club?
Well, it'd be hard to say he's not, based upon the live, if anybody's been watching the games. But, you know, what's really impressed me, Darren, about Nick, hey, he shot it in the net here, which is, I mean, it's great. I look at last night as a perfect example. The two plays that happened right before the goals are Nick making real good defensive plays. So, like a lot of young offensive players when they come into the league, I mean, it's about offense, right?
Sure.
And Nick's showing that he can score, which is, I mean, it's the hardest thing to do in the league. But what he has continued to learn, and I think what he's really made a priority in this camp, is showing the coaches that he can be trusted in the other parts of the ice. And, you know, he's been killing penalties. He's been really good on the forecheck. His checking game has been real good. And then you couple that with him shooting in the net. I mean, I'm not a very smart guy, but I can figure this one out. This probably makes sense to, he looks like a player that can help us. And quite frankly, I know a lot's been made over the summer with him. You know, some of it I think got a little bit more play than most. Like
in terms of his trade requests.
Yeah, I mean, I talked to Nick regularly throughout the summer, and I think he's gone through a lot here. A lot of it's been injuries that he's dealt with over the last couple of years. So I think he wanted to be, you know, he wanted to be confident that he's going to get an opportunity. He knew he had to pull his end of the bargain, but I look at Nick as a young guy who's got a real good skill set. They're hard to come by. So we were, you know, the business part has to take care of itself, and we that played out over the course of summer. We got a contract done, and Nick's come in and done a really good job. So I've been excited about his camp. How can you not be?
Small window to compare here when you look at your training camp last year versus this training camp this season. But what's the biggest difference for you? Again, it looks more competitive, but is it more competitive this year than it was even last year?
Yeah, I think we're deeper. You know, last year, personally, I can say from a personal standpoint, which just from my own, I'm more familiar with it, right? You come in, it felt like you're on the treadmill a little bit last year. But I look at our group right now, I think there's more, listen, our young players are a year older, right? Nick Robertson, for example, he's a year older. I think we've got more people pushing. I think we're deeper in all positions. You know, our defense. We've brought in, you know, the Tanevs, the OELs, Hackenpah, who's working through some health things. But beyond that, I think we've got to push from below, right? We've got some depth. I think we added 8 defensemen over the course of the summer. So how it all shakes out, we'll see. I mean, it's camp. We haven't played any games yet. I think there is more competition, whether it be, and listen, you don't come into camp with 10 open spots. That's just not reality. Right. There's usually a spot, maybe or two, but there's also competition within the team. Where are you going to play in the lineup? Specialty team work. You know, what pairs fit. And then, you know, Craig's a big believer, as a lot of coaches are, in sort of having pairs and then trying to find a skill set that fits with it. So I think there's been, and as there is with a new coach, it's a fresh, clean slate for everybody. So I would say, long way of probably saying, I do think we're deeper. I think it's been more competitive. I think there's more, we probably have more bodies for the number of chairs we have available, which is a good thing. So we'll get through tomorrow and see where we sit come Wednesday.
So end of season, you said, look, everything has to be on the table. Everything has to be considered. And that was just a byproduct of disappointment and how the season ended. So really, yeah, of course, this is your second full year, but you could make the case that it's your first year of putting your fingerprints on a team that you want to see. So you made changes. I mean, you changed your coach, the captaincy. You talked about adding meat, you know, changing your defense. You bring in a cup pedigree goaltender to help things out. I mean, it's by design, but end of year, did you have a checklist and go, okay, check, check, check?
Yeah, I mean, and again, lots been made. I mean, we were being real honest. At the end of the year, when you don't meet, I think like some years you say, hey, I think we maxed out. I thought we left some on the table last year, right? Now we had some injuries, not excuses. Everybody goes through injuries, but we didn't find a way to get the job done. So you have to look at everything. Looking at everything doesn't mean I'm not a believer in making a deal to stand up there and say, look, we changed for the sake of saying we changed. You're trying to get better. I think we did make some changes. Obviously, Craig coming in. You know, our defense was an area that we really wanted to try to address. You know, I think Chris, Oliver, you know, Hakanpää, when he gets up to speed with the guys that we've got here, I think we've got some other guys pushing. I think we're deeper in that position than we were a year ago. I think our checking game from the back end is going to be better with still being able to move pucks. And then up front, same sort of thing. We've gotten some young players that are pushing. We've talked last year about Easton Cowan. He's a better player this year than he was last year. But there's expectations and all those. He's still a young player. Fraser Minton had a great rookie camp, unfortunately hurt himself. But he's pushing a little bit. Young Grabenkin is pushing a little bit. You know, we brought in Steven Lorenz on a PTO, Pat Chiaretti on a PTO. Those guys have been in the league and have had success in the league. So I think, like I said, I like the look of our team right now. Now again, 31 other guys are saying the same thing right now. But I think the imprint that Craig is going to have on the team and the ability to check hard, we've got lots of skill. We've shown we've got the ability to shoot it in the net. We can't be in a position where we need 4 and 5 to win every night. And like what we've seen from the goaltenders through camp. So we're still a work in progress, as everybody is, but you know, through 12 days or whatever we've been, I like where we're sitting.
You mentioned Craig a few times. Why was he the right coach for the Toronto Maple Leafs at this time? And what do you expect is going to be different, maybe both on and off the ice with him at the helm?
Well, I think number one, I think we got really good players. And I've said all along, Dregs, I really enjoyed my time with Sheldon. I think he's a hell of a coach. I think he's going to be a real good coach for a long time in this league. Sometimes it's just time. And so we made the change, and then we went out and you know, sitting with Craig and going through the process. First of all, going through the interview process and everybody we talked to. And I talked to a lot of players. We talked to a ton of players. And it wasn't just the guys that played on the power play. And, you know, 3 things came real clear. There's a real directness. There's a real clarity in his message. There's no gray area. His ability to connect with players, hold players accountable. And then there's just real clarity on team and individual play. Everybody's got a role, and there's no confusion how he wants his teams to play. And that's really what I've seen. You know, he walks into the room, you don't have to guess who's in charge. He's got a real presence to him. Publicly, I think Craig keeps his cards pretty close to the vest. He's a real smart guy. I mean, I think he's a motivator, but he's also really dialed into the you know, the X's and O's and the technical aspect of the game. But he's got a real unique ability to take all that information in and deliver it in a very concise, clear message. So both from team play and individual play. Everybody's going to have a role. Everybody's going to know what that role is, what's expected of them individually, but also collectively as a group. He's real clear on how we want the team to play. And that's from player 1 to player 20 on the roster. And everybody's important. We're not going to be able to achieve the things that we want to achieve without everyone. And whatever that role is, it's absolutely critical to team success. So I've been really impressed. We joked the other day, you know, everybody's happy right now. Everybody's undefeated, and you know, the live bullets will start on Wednesday. But just a real impressive guy, and I've really enjoyed not only the camp, but the summer we spent together, watching his interaction with the players. Impressive guy.
So you process everything carefully and strategically. I mean, you have to do that, right? Just to be a general manager, let alone a successful one. How did you get to a point where you went, okay, it's time for us to transition the captaincy from John Tavares, real good leader, to Auston Matthews, who offensively is no question is the leader of this franchise, but how did you know this offseason was the right time?
Yeah, I don't know if there was no real aha point. You know, John and I had a conversation at the end of the year, and I say this, it's not just for public, you know, for public, it's the truth. This had nothing to do with John. This wasn't that John wasn't, I think John's a terrific captain. I think John's, you know, a terrific pro. There's very few guys that have been around that look after themselves the way he does, or is dialed into every part of preparation as John is. You know, this was about Auston, and you know, Auston's our best player, and it was time for him now to grab a hold of this team, set the standard, and demand everybody meet his standard. And he's such a respectful guy that I didn't want it to be in a situation where he felt he was stepping on anybody's toes. And so that's really the thought process, and we talked about it internally. You know, Shanny, myself, Brandon Pridham, Shane Doan, our management group, everybody was in alignment, and I can't commend John enough. Everybody, it's like the breakup. Everybody says, oh, it's, you know, everything went well, and it did go well. And this wasn't a breakup. This was just like a transitioning of the captaincy. And John was, he couldn't have been more professional throughout the process. He understood it, and I said it then, and I'll say it again. We still need John. You know, we still need John in the leadership role. Not only what he means to this team on the ice, but off the ice. And he's there to support not only Auston, but the entire group. He does a great job of it. But this allows now Auston to sort of spread his wings a little bit. And like I said, he sets a very high standard. Not a lot of people know just how committed he is to his craft, and it's up to the group to follow him, and it's up to Auston to pull them along.
As you know, this is a very passionate market, right? I mean, I'm intrigued at times by some of the trade speculation around certain players, and you know, Mitch Marner as a Toronto Maple Leaf certainly has been in the crosshairs of that over the last couple of years. It wouldn't make sense to trade him in season, right? But what does he need to show? What does the team need to show? What does the core need to show? Or maybe the best way to answer this is, why is a major contract negotiation like that for a player of that significance so difficult?
Well, any contract, any and every contract has its own life, right? Regardless of the amount of money. You know, it took us a while to get Nick Robertson signed this summer. Listen, Mitch Marner is a star in this league, and to your question, what does he have to do? He just has to be himself. I've been here a year. I think in every market there's players that maybe get more scrutinized than others. Mitch does here. He's a terrific player. Like, he's a star in the league, and our failings, or us falling short last year, I can't speak to the previous years, I wasn't here, but I can speak to last year. That doesn't lie just solely on Mitch's shoulders. You know, Mitch had come through a high ankle sprain at the end of the year. Again, he'd be the first to, he's not using that as an excuse, but we need Mitch just to be Mitch. He doesn't have to do anything more than that. This guy's a terrific player. There's very few players in the league that can produce the offense that he does, kill penalties, be in the Selke Trophy conversation. I'm a huge fan, and we'll handle the business side quietly and away from the spotlight, and hopefully when we get something to report, we'll report it. But I know Mitch's focus and our focus right now is just to get the year started, get off to a good start, and be the player that I know he can be. And we rely heavily on him. Any team would. He's just like I said, he's a star in the league, and he's had a great summer. He's refreshed, and I'm looking forward to seeing him and the rest of the group come Wednesday.
So just leave it with ongoing discussions? Just leave it there?
We'll just leave it at that.
Okay. All right, you've been through some rivalries in your time, right? The Battle of Alberta, the Calgary Flames, and the Edmonton Oilers, of course. I don't know if it's even fair to invite a comparison into what I'm going to ask, but you've just come through Toronto, Montreal, all the shenanigans that went on earlier in the preseason. Too soon to say, or which one has more punch right now? The Battle of Alberta or Toronto, Montreal?
Well, I mean, listen, what happened last week, I guess, it's really unfortunate.
Yeah,
you never want to see any player injured, ever. I mean, the players are they're using this time. Listen, there's players trying to make an impression. There's players trying to make a team, and then there's NHL players who are just trying to get up to speed. And what happened with Patrick is, it's really unfortunate. You never want to see it with any player. I can speak to Cedric. There's certainly no intent. It was an unfortunate play. Sometimes in our sport, unfortunate plays happen. So we wish him a speedy recovery. Listen, the Toronto-Montreal rivalry, I don't know if there's one more storied. You're right. The Edmonton-Calgary Battle of Alberta is special, and there's a hatred between the two cities. So there was some great rivalries there. This is forever rivals. This is, and that's a team that's been building for a while. I think they got a tremendously talented young team. So I think it's a great rivalry. Like it's one of the best in the history of our sport. I'm not necessarily focused just on those rivalries. I look at our division. I think it's the toughest division in hockey. You got the Stanley Cup champions here. You got Tampa, who won it all the years before. You've got, we mentioned Montreal, Buffalo, Detroit that have been building. They're on the come. Boston, they're an elite team year after year. Like, just go through every team. Every team in this division is difficult. Ottawa, they're on the cusp. So we said it at training camp to our group, we got to just focus on today. And that's, as motherhoodish and cliche-ish as that sounds, that's what we have to focus on. We got to focus on today. We've got, 3 or 4 days to prepare, to finish off camp, prepare for opening night. But Wednesday in Montreal is going to be a challenge, as will the 81 following it, and we're just going to try to focus on ourselves each day, get better, and hopefully it leads to good results.
Yeah, and so what does success look like to you end of the year?
Well, we're not focused on that.
Yeah,
Again, we think we got a good team here, but we have to just, we're a collection of players right now that we're trying to build a team. And so we've got internal goals that we're not necessarily going to speak about those, other than to say each day is a day for us to get better and get better individually, but more importantly, get better as a group, and that's our plan.
Last one for you, and you have to decipher whether this is a compliment or a criticism.
Okay.
But your colleagues will often say, colleagues, and I include player agents in that mix as well, they often say Tree is in everything. That's signings, that's trades. I mean, you literally leave no stone unturned. That's not just as general manager of the Toronto Maple Leafs. That's kind of been your MO in management, dating back over a number of years. Is that fair? I mean, are you want to stay in tune? You don't want to miss an opportunity if there's something there.
Well, I know I got criticized, like, always the bridesmaids and stuff, right? Listen, you're not involved in every deal, right? But I think the job is, as all managers are, to know what's going on in the league. And our job is to try to help our team whenever we can. And sometimes, deals aren't feasible for whatever reason, or the price doesn't fit, or cap doesn't fit. But I think our job is to know what's going on. You try to stay as engaged as you possibly can to see what's happening. If a deal happens in the league and you're not aware of it, shame on you. And so try to communicate. It's a good group of managers. There's lots of communication. Everybody's trying to do the same thing. Everybody's competitive and trying to help their team. But to me, that's the job. The job is to make sure you're engaged, you're in the conversations, and you know what's happening. And all these deals, a lot of them take weeks, if not months, of dialogue. But that's the job. The job is to make sure you're aware of what's happening, and if there's something that makes sense that can help your team, you certainly want to be involved in it.
Good luck. Thanks for doing this.
Appreciate it, Jackson.